we go. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome again to Perfect Connections. What is today? Today is Friday, the 27th of September. Gosh, as we always say, where did the month go? Well, let's go around. Please introduce yourselves. And then if you have anything, I'm going to have the chat window open over here. And then if you have anything that you'd like to talk about today, questions, challenges, affirmations, aha moments, whatever it is, please share them. And we will start. Oh, hi, everybody. I'm Susan Walker, formerly with the University of Minnesota. And I'll just say I'm getting any of you from St. Paul. Hi, I'm excited because I will see you next Thursday. I'm doing a professional development thing with parenting educators in St. Paul on facilitating discussion with parents. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. And I will turn it over to Nancy Trahey.
Hello, I am Nancy Trahey. I'm the parent educator or actually one of now, because there's more than just myself, for Albany area schools in Albany, Minnesota and Avon, Minnesota, not far from St. Cloud. And I don't have any issues to discuss today. And Arya, I learned from everybody as well. And I look forward to learning from you. So thanks for joining us. I have a quick question. If anybody has a Touch a Truck event or knows of one coming up, I have some interested twin grandsons who I'd like to hook up with with such an event. And I will turn over to Laura.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Honig from Osseo Schools, mostly doing home visiting and with my new colleague Ari and our Hispanic affinity class, our Spanish speaking families affinity class, Latina families. I'm learning so much from Ari. It's amazing. It's so great to have her. It's so fun to have a colleague. And I think one thing that we're talking about is as we are rapidly growing our program because we can reach out to so many more families, and we're on site now where our families mostly go to school with our new office. So we're looking at staff development opportunities, and Ari has a research I hope she'll share with you. And I'm wondering if you also have resources to share with us, and if there's anyone who's interested in joining us for possible future staff development. So, you want to go, Ari? Again?
Yeah. Sure. I'm Ari. I'm at Osseo as well. A question?
No, she just puts it in notes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I just take notes.
Okay. I'm moving to this location now too, and I think I heard Laura say like we have windows and that's so lovely, and to not be in a basement. And I think we're exploring what it looks like in terms of like the intersection of culture and parenting. And there's someone that I've followed on Instagram for a long time called Latinx Parenting, and she does trainings for parents, but she also, we just saw, does staff development, and it seems like it like caters to the population that you're working with. So I think it would be really fascinating to learn from that organization and from that community. And so I'm just a little bit trial by fire right now, learning everything and just trying to soak everything in.
Ari, so two things. One is if you could put into the chat the Instagram handle for the Latinx parenting. And then the second thing is, this is an incredible group, just like you're working with Laura, as somebody who is coming into the work, or maybe reflecting your time at the university. Is there one question that you might have for this group?
Sorry, not my computer. Trying to figure out how to do this. I don't know. I think I'll just have to like really sit with myself. I have so many questions.
Sure.
So I'm full-time home visitor like Laura. I also have one class that I do on Thursday. My background too, I'm in 2 master's programs right now at the U. I'm doing parent ed, and I'm also doing child development with a focus on infant and early childhood mental health.
Oh,
And
good.
so I think I don't know, I guess I would love to hear examples of, um, I feel like there's so much opportunity to creatively combine just like from different fields and areas of the work we do with children. And I would love to hear any examples of just like maybe something you feel like really proud of, or something that's like really cooking for you right now in terms of like, how do I want to incorporate this one thing that maybe is outside of our field? What would it look like? Like for me right now, I'm working a lot on case formulations in the mental health field, but I feel like it could be such a useful tool in home visits, and just like thinking of a family's ecosystem. I don't know if there's anything that's like, it could be anything like, oh, I have a music background and this is how I'm creatively incorporating it. And I have for school, just thinking a lot about, they put kind of like, not a pressure, but emphasis on finding a niche. And I don't really know what that even could look like. So I guess what are your niches, or what's something that you've done that's felt like really collaborative from different aspects of your um, interests or careers? Yeah.
So fabulous question. I mean, because as you're talking, and I won't monopolize now, I'll just throw out there when I, about 20 years ago, got into an interest in technology and families. It was an example of something that was completely outside of parenting education, right? And and so I'll talk later when we all talk about it, but there are just sort of, it's what I found in working with people, and you may find this in infant mental health as well, is you almost become a translator between 2 worlds, because you know the language in one world, say in parenting or in parenting and family education, and then folks over here, even those in human development, are talking like their own language. And so you almost gain the skill as a translator to be able to bring these 2 languages together. And I think the real skill is understanding sort of what you're trying to bring to, in the sense of, what always rooted me was coming back to parenting, was always coming back to what are the tenets of parenting education, of, that kind of thing. And then looking to that outside thing to fit to that, right? To understand that well enough that then, because it was these people I needed to translate for. It wasn't the technology people. Sometimes if I was with the technology people, I would, but frankly, they weren't trying. But if my aim was to bring, say, technology or, something else to parent and family education, I would always return back to those basic tenets and those values, learn about that outside thing, and then find how they fit. So anyway, but thank you. What a fabulous question. We'll address that as we go along. Okay, would you like to pick somebody?
I see Carissa on my screen. So if you would like to share.
I'm Carissa. I'm with Mounds View, parent educator. I guess the one thing that's on my mind is I had a family. I teach a Thursday night family play group. So we don't do a parenting time specifically. It's just a play group, but I had dad. So this is our second week. Dad came last week, brand new family, never met him before. Came with sister who's about 3. Came last night with sister and baby sister who's about 18 months, and said, Mom left very suddenly a few days ago. Sorry. The little one was just like, I miss mommy the whole time. But okay, sorry, I wasn't gonna do this. But I have lots of resources around divorce. And I feel like maybe sort of fits and might give dad some language and some things to think about of, consistency of the rest of the world. But if anybody knows of anything that's maybe a little bit more specific to a situation like this, it's maybe not quite as much about divorce, or kiddo books that he could read with the 3-year-old. It's just kind of a weird situation too, because he's like, he used the word mental breakdown, and so he doesn't know, did she just need a break and she'll be back? Is she gone? So he can't really say like, mom's gone and here's how life goes yet. So that's a tricky aspect of it too. And we don't have to have a huge discussion. If people know of anything, put it in the chat. But you could tell dad was just deer in headlights still, and he didn't ask for any sort of resources. I don't think he even processed that might be something he could do yet. But I just kind of wanted to have a few things in my back pocket for him. I'm not sure if I'll email it or just give it to him next week, but if anybody knows of anything, that would be great. And I will call on Sandy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sandy Salter. I am the parent educator here in the Fairmont area schools. I do home visiting, outreach, advertising. I teach all the classes we have. And I'm also now adding some work under a grant to try to specifically reach families of children in the free and reduced lunch system. But from like pre-K to second grade are my first 2 years. I'm supposed to focus on those age groups for the first 2 years of the grant. And then the third year, I'm supposed to kind of try to add in the 3 through 6. So Ellen, I will call on you if you're still there.
Hi, I'm here. Sorry, I'm having all sorts of technical issues today. Ellen Hafner, parent educator from Northfield. And Carissa, I missed your question, so I'm sorry. I have a question about when you have a kiddo who you've been worried about for years, who has been in eval, parents have stopped eval, child is in preschool, and you knew all along what was going to happen. Like you knew that the child was that. And this child got angry on the playground last week and started choking a child. This is a good family. It's a kind family. They don't watch a lot of TV. They are big nature people. And then when he was taken off of that child, he went to another child and was hitting them very aggressively. Mom, particularly dad. Hang on. Hi. Sorry, guys. I literally can't talk in my building without someone hearing. Particularly the dad doesn't want his spirit crushed for him to fit the mold of a classroom. Okay, so that is the surface level. How do we, and my early childhood teacher is saying we need to open up the evaluation again. We need to open up the evaluation again. How do I turn that? We're not trying to change your child. We're trying to help the system learn how your child learns. What's your verbiage? How do you help families who have that? I don't want to medicate it. We're not talking about medication, but and I tried to say very gently that choking another child is not an age appropriate response to a child not playing with you. But it's so hard in the room. I'm like, biting is normal, hitting is normal. I said, but choking that's a really strong reaction. We cannot get through to this family. We just can't. And now this is what's happening. And she seems so surprised. So how do you verbalize it so that the school isn't the enemy.
Well, thank you for that very simple question, Ellen. We will, oh yeah, okay, well, good. This will be a good conversation. Kelly, are you there nearby to weigh in? Say hi.
Hi, I'm going to keep my video off. I'm outside and I'm going to save you guys, me squinting at the screen, trying to see anything. Yeah, I'm Kelly. I am a parent educator up in Cloquet in northern Minnesota. Um, so yeah, Aria, I am also taking classes at the U for my parent ed master's as well. So maybe I'll see you around. I'm nearing the end. I'm not sure where you're at, but yeah. So welcome. It's a great group. I was doing parent education on a variance for a number of years, and this group was my lifeline. So it's been wonderful. Ellen, pertaining to your situation, because I'm in college right now, and this is like the stage that we're at, and I missed if the dad is actually there or not, or if you're just trying to reach the mom without being able to talk to the dad. But the thing that
He's
popped
come.
into my
He has come a couple times.
okay,
He's
the thing
he's
that
fairly involved.
okay, that popped into my head was just really trying to get curious and ask questions, try to maybe find out. I mean, I think you can kind of see some places where he's obviously just got these blocks and whatever, but just to try to really ask questions to him, get curious, see if there's any way that, you can just kind of come at it without any suggestions, without any ideas, and just try to get him to open up one time, and maybe that could be an in. And I don't know the rules with special education, if you can actually bring somebody in without a referral or anything like that. I don't know if there's like confidentiality. So maybe somebody else besides you guys, or another parent maybe who's had a
They're getting it
child.
now from preschool. Like
Yeah.
everybody's
Okay.
in on this. He's part of problem solving team. Like everyone knows now
Right.
what's going on. So they've been hearing it from us and now they're hearing it from them, but they just
I wonder
yeah.
if you were able to get a hold of another parent who's been through a similar process, and hearing it from a parent's perspective might come at him a little bit differently. Again, I'm sure you've already tried to get him to open up and done the questions. Like I said, this is where I am, elbow deep in my classes right now. So that's where my head went. But maybe something will stick there. But okay, I'll stop talking now. If I can find my mute button, told you I'm squinting.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay. Well, we've got a number of, so we have, should we knock out the truck event real quick? Is anybody aware of a Touch a Truck event for Nancy's grandkids? And other children in your connections that may want to do Touch a Truck?
Yeah, we can just say that if you hear about one, let me know. How's that sound?
Okay.
Because there's lots of good juicy topics to talk about today.
Yeah. Well, you can also, like, if there's a specific, if you find a link for something, you can throw that in the chat. And good. Okay. So Laura, you were, let's return back to your question about staff development opportunities. Could you, could you rephrase what it is that you're interested in?
Ari and I are interested in learning how to better serve our Latinx families or Latina families, and the resources that she shared with you is one we would like to explore with our staff here, and we were thinking like, wow, is there anyone else who also would like to dive into this, who are also serving Latina families in Minnesota?
So I'm going to return back to, so when I hear stuff like that, I think about who sets up the training for folks, and that's generally, isn't that generally like the program coordinators?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I would guess that might be, like, I think of the coordinator at St. Paul, and I know that they have, over in the West Side and then West St. Paul, there's a very significant Latinx community. So it might be those districts that have higher populations or whatever, I don't know. But might be reaching out to those coordinators. And I don't know if the state, like if somebody at MDE, you know, could say, here are the names of coordinators you might want to reach to. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm also thinking like Worthington or, you know, greater Minnesota where there's high population. Be great if we could all work together, learn together.
Absolutely, because sometimes really, like somebody sent me something, this is totally unrelated, but it was a training that was being done that was fairly universal, but the speaker, you know, wasn't cheap, and we shouldn't like try to bring down their costs, right? But if you collaborate and if you're all together, it could be that you could bring in a dynamic speaker, you know, but not one person is footing the bill. So there's that value too. Yep. Does anybody else have suggestions related to for Laura to be able to coordinate this kind of training?
I'm not sure if you're, so it sounds like you're trying to coordinate, like, so people can do it together. I don't know if this would be something that would be appropriate to put out on the Friends of Family Education or not. Like, I can see in my situation, like, I can see if it got sent to the person who is listed as the coordinator here, I would never find out about it, even though I'm the only parent educator. And I would love to learn more about that. So it might be nice to have it kind of thrown out there too. So like people like me would see it if their quote unquote coordinator doesn't see it. So that's just a thought.
You know, and I wonder too about like Menafee. You know, if they because they'll do regional trainings or they'll do you know, not just the spring conference, but then they'll also have like they have a fall training. And Ellen, are you still involved with the Menafee board?
No, I didn't. I took a year off because they meet a lot in the summer and I
Okay.
didn't want to do a lot of summer stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, possibly reaching out to Menafee related to their training, because that would definitely to have statewide interest. So, but I like, and I agree with Sandy on the Friends of Family Education. It's a great way to put it out there to get people to connect. Yeah. And thanks for sharing the latinxparenting.org site there, Laura. And, all right. Okay. Is it okay if we move ahead, Laura? Or is there more you wanted to ask about that? Okay. No. Okay. So let's go to Ari's question. I think that it's really a terrific one. I've already said my little bit about, you know, translating and languages and bringing stuff together. I'll just add in, I appreciate your mentioning the family's ecosystem, because sometimes what I find in fields, we get so deep into understanding, like if we're thinking about children's development, like we can be thinking maybe about brain development or a particular, you know, like an aspect of development. And that can get so narrow that, like, I often find myself reminding people that families live in these ecosystems and that, you know, different, you know, they could be focusing on sort of faith. And I could say, yeah, but the school's also very influential, right? Sort of bringing those things out. And I've also found that by talking about a family's ecosystem, that's where between the thing that you're trying to bring in to parent and family ed, that's where you can find those intersectionalities, you know. And so it could be that, you know, maybe there's a connection around schools, or maybe there's a connection around faith, or maybe there's a connection around health, or maybe there's a connection around family policy and something at the governmental level, right? And so that, like, I find in technology, people that are interested in children's safety, I can get them not focusing alone just on how much time their kids are on phones, if we also think at a higher level on policy, you know, for keeping kids safe online. So anyway, so that's just my bit on that. But how about others on this idea of creatively combining content outside of our field, but in ways that can really broaden our perspectives and enhance what we do in parent and family ed? Do you have examples? I love your question about, you know, do you have a great example from your past of where you've brought in something from the outside to apply to parent and family ed, if I'm paraphrasing correctly?
Susan, to clarify, are you wondering if Aria has examples to share?
No, that was her question, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Because you all are so incredibly creative, right? The longer that I sit with you and I hear the things that you've done, it's just like, damn, that's really cool. So yeah, ways that you've integrated ideas from, I think, nature-based education.
Yes, that's what's coming to mind for me too. I'm so excited about what could be possible there, and I tried again this fall. I've tried lots of different ways of trying to incorporate that because I'm passionate about that. It's someone I'm interested in, and I know I have, you know, this parent here, that parent, that, you know, just a couple that are also intrigued and interested with me. The problem is getting, I thought we maybe were at the point where we could get a group together. I've included it in my lesson plan rotation for a very long time. And whether they're interested in play, and so we branch into that as well, nature play as a part of their interest in play, or whether, golly, I mean, it's been a long time ago where I started talking about nature-based daycares in Scandinavia, and parents looked at me like I was crazy. And, you know, and so I bring it up and I keep bringing it up. And we moved to a new remodeled facility that's on a gorgeous park. And I thought, here's our chance to do an outdoor ECFE class right on the park, in the park. And I was so excited. I've got one parent signed up. It's supposed to start next week. So I know my coordinator, she's already said, I think that's going to end up getting canceled, Nancy. So I'm trying to think of creative ways to build that, but also to meet this particular family was so hoping. They've got a little guy that would give him the outdoor space to move. Our new classroom is smaller than what we've had in the past. And so it's going to be even more challenging to him to have to go back to indoors. So I'm a little frustrated. I'm very interested, and I know there are awesome programs happening around our state now where I don't know, I think the interest was built during COVID, and nature-based preschool, you know, kind of had a boost and a takeoff. I'm just struggling to get parents to buy in. So I think that's the most appropriate one we're a very small district, very, very small. So that's a part of it. If I could do a virtual outdoor class, maybe then solve the problem. Anyway, sorry, there we go. I'm going to mute myself and stop rambling.
Well, Nancy, I appreciate your comment about, you know, observing something and then like you see the connection and then you bring it to people and they go, what? Right. So that's another challenge. I'll just throw that out there. All right. You know, as we do this, is people do get really rooted into what they know. Right. And I think it gives them a source of comfort. And so as observers and creative people, we see connections in other things. Right. And then when we bring them to other people, you know, it can seem very foreign, or it can seem like impossible, or, you know, if they're not ready for it, it's easy to deny it as well, you know, say, oh, well, we're not ready for that, you know, like, oh, we couldn't, we could never, you know, well, that's Sweden, and, you know, they're a socialist country, and, you know, their taxes are really high, and we couldn't do that here, right? And it's just like they're, you know, they shut down. And so it can take time, you know.
Yep, meanwhile, I'll keep doing my, you know, a little bit of incorporating it into our rotation in, you know, the inside class.
Yep. Yeah, I always find it's almost like parent-teacher conflict resolution, you know, or any kind of conflict resolution is like finding commonality. You know, what is that shared goal, and then speaking to that, you know, to kind of help. Again, I just see it always as like a translation. Sometimes it's money. I mean, sometimes it's really practical stuff, you know, like that can get people together, but especially if it's like, well, this is what you want, right? And this is what this offers. So maybe we could try this, you know. So anyone
think-
else? Other
yes.
examples of?
Sure, Susan, I'll just share, I mean, most of you know now my background in yoga. And so, I mean, when I first brought that to this program a year ago, it was like, that's not what we do here. And then I got a new boss, and she's like, yes, let's do that here. So, you know, sometimes it's, you know, convincing people, and it was so well received. And so it's not always just convincing parents, it's convincing administrators, you know, to
Absolutely.
to see things differently and look at the different ways we can meet families' needs. So that's exciting that we have someone who's ready for that.
Yeah, because, you know, what I found in presenting new ideas is the money issue, right? Is, oh, well, we don't have the budget for that, you know, and, or, oh, the other educators won't like it, or, oh, the parents won't like it, you know, and so sometimes it takes like being creative and going, okay, how can I introduce this? Like with your yoga, Laura, right? I mean, you could probably say, we're not talking about hiring somebody from the outside. I can do this, you know, maybe one class, we just, you know, give it a try. And that calms an administrator down, because they're like, oh, you mean I don't have to pay for it? I don't have to find it in my budget, you know? And then for other people can be more of a value set. Yeah, you just have
Laura, how have you, sorry, did I interrupt you, Susan? I'm sorry. I've got a little bit of a delay here. Laura, how have you incorporated it? Do you have a time in your parent times, or do you have a specific class how have you incorporated it?
So I always create in my regular parenting classes, we do a parenting pause. So it's like a short meditation where I'm just bringing my yoga tools in. And then literally this summer I said, can we pilot a caregiver baby yoga class, you know, just a pilot. And they were like, yeah, and it was great. Actually, there was such interest, we offered 2 classes, you know, for a summer session instead of just one. So it was about a month long, and they want to continue. It's just it's not funding. How do I want to say? I'm being a stickler because I have 15 years of experience doing this that aren't recognized in my contract, you know, at all. And I'm like, you know, I'm bringing these skills and gifts with me, and you have to give me something. Like, you can't just ignore that this came from somewhere, and it was a lot of investment. So we're and my boss is completely open to this. It's not her. She's not having the issue. It's more of a HR union thing. But yeah, I mean, as soon as we kind of get the rest of this thing that we're trying to roll out in with our families, our Spanish speaking families, then maybe I'll explore that. But I think too, one of the other benefits that we have in doing something new is we have a dedicated marketing person. And so she gets the word out, and that is huge. Like Nancy, for your nature-based classes, I mean, having someone to get the word out makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Laura, how do you do
sorry.
I was just going to ask how you do the parenting pause, because that's something that's been on my mind for a couple of years now, and I haven't been brave enough to try it. Do you get up and move? Is it more just like a sit in your spot and like find the tension in your body and take a deep breath kind of thing? Or what do you do exactly?
Yeah, so I mean, I use a a 4-part breath meditation, usually as a start. And the very basic is like tuning into your breath, and tuning into emotions in your breath and identifying those emotions as a type of weather. And then from that, it builds. So, I mean, this is very short, and then I build capacity over time and then teach different self-regulation skills from yoga that, might involve some little bit of movement. People don't want to get up and out of their chairs. That's too much. So it's in their chair, it's very gentle. And over time, I try to keep teaching new skills and skills that they can use with their children to help them regulate. And, sometime if you want to do it at the beginning of one of our sessions here, I can run you through that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful because I've been able to observe Laura all month, and you can see that this is like potentially a moment that is the only moment for parents to like connect with themselves. And then when you come out of it, everyone's like, and then
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking, like as parents, and I mean, even as a parent of an adults, or even when they were little, you just don't take that time to pause and check in with your own self ever, and to kind of encourage families and teach them a little bit how to do it. So do you start your parenting time with it? Because I've also thought through, like, do you start with it? Do you end with it? Like before we go back to the kids?
So I'll start, like, it'll be announcements as they're getting their coffee, or, we do this in the classroom when we're not separating too. And,
Okay.
and even when I've subbed, I've just decided this is who I am. I don't care if you guys think it's weird, I'll give them a little introduction, like, and it's been so well received. Like, even when I've subbed, people have stopped me and said, thank you for that. I really needed that. And what is also really cool, doing it at the beginning, I've seen 2 effects. One, I feel like things go a lot deeper, a lot faster. The quality and the presence that people have with one another is really beautiful compared to when I haven't done it. And then secondly, whether or not you believe this or not, I've been in a room with parents and it's chaos on the other side of the room, and the parents are all really wound up. And as the more they focus in and calm themselves, there's a direct impact on what's happening in that room, and you hear it get quiet. And I think that's very beautiful, how connected we are.
Well, we certainly experienced your magic this summer, Laura. It really was. For those at the Parenting Ed retreat we had, Laura was so wonderful to lead. I won't say us. I was a lurker, but to lead some of the participants in yoga, and it was wonderful, wasn't it, you guys? I mean, I took pictures. I was the picture taker. And the joy that I saw in people's faces. I mean, it was joyful for me to watch, because like, this is what we usually do, is like we talk, and then to see everybody making those kind of physical, spiritual connections through Laura's just very natural way of leading yoga was really fabulous to see. I can imagine the impact it would have.
Thank you.
Parents. Yeah. Thank you. I want to recognize that Greta is here. Yay, Greta, welcome back. Greta, would you like to introduce yourself to the home audience here?
Sure. I'm Greta Nelson, and I am a parent educator at Cambridge ISD Schools. Yeah, I have hosted a while, and it was so funny because I went 2 Fridays ago to look for your videos because I've just been missing so many, and there weren't any. And then like the next day I got this email, there's a new video. I'm like, yes. So thank you for doing that. I went back and watched your resources one last week. So thank you. Lots of great, although I really wish I would have known what was being said in the chat. I missed the chat. So that's why I'm here. I don't want to miss the chat. Anyway, glad to be back, and hello.
Good. Well, it's so wonderful to see you, Greta. I'm here just for the chat. So let's go to that those. We have a couple pretty meaty questions, and I hope we can get to both of them. I know we have about 13 minutes left. Both really.
Mine can wait till next week. It's
Yeah?
fine.
You sure?
Just take care of Carissa today, because
Yeah, well,
yeah,
let's
it's
see.
fine.
Yeah, okay.
Because
So
my
Krista-
family's not going anywhere. It's fine.
But I do think that it's, it's not a solitary. I mean, as somebody wrote in the chat, they also have a similar family. So, Krista, well, let's return to you, and a pretty challenging situation for a family to have a parent suddenly estranged.
Yeah. So just, yeah, if anybody knows of articles, like I said, I have a lot of specifically on divorce. I don't know what else might be out there. Or any suggestions of places to look for more, and maybe divorce is kind of what's available. I'm not sure. So yeah, mom had a family come last night, and dad came with both kids. I didn't even know there was another kid actually at that point, because we had just started classes, and mom backed up and left like 3 or 4 days before that. So and little one, it's like 3 and 18 months are the ages of the kids, and the 3-year-old was obviously very much struggling with mama disappearing on her. She told me about 4 times I missed them. So if anyone had, or maybe children's books too, that he could read. Grandma's watching him. His mom, I guess, is watching him for now. Mom must have been a stay-at-home mom before she left. So really big adjustment, sudden, unexpected adjustment for this family.
So Krista,
But-
you said the father was not aware, like it was a surprise to him?
He seemed very surprised. Also said she had been acting a little bit erratically the few days or something before she disappeared. And said was like, things were kind of rocky between us, but not to the point that he anticipated something like that. So I think he was really quite shocked that she just disappeared.
One of the
Felt like there was probably substance use happening as well. He said, I was kind of surprised because it's the second time I've met the guy, and he was on the one hand quiet, and on the other hand shared a lot with me. So that was good. I really hope I can encourage them to keep coming to school, to be that small spot of consistency in their otherwise upturned life. But I know sometimes that's hard too when your world's been turned upside down. So, but just if anyone had any resources, if you have links, we don't have to have a ton of a discussion, but just links or book
I don't
titles.
have anything specific, Krista, but when you said it, it reminded me of this brochure that I have that's from the IF Foundation, and this one's on Caregiver's Guide to How to Explain Jails and Prisons to Children. And I'm wondering if they might have something just
Something
as a matter of a sudden separation, something that's
Sure. What is it again? Can you say it?
Inside Out Connections.
Okay.
Caregiver's Guide, how to explain jails and prisons, and it's through IF. So the IF Institute.
Okay.
Anyway, that might be something. They might have other resources beyond this, right? So, or part of this or something.
First, I've got this
Oh,
one. My
okay.
family's changing. A first look at a family breakup. I'm putting this in my parent checkout library. Something is happening in your family. It's called divorce. So, I mean, it only really works but also I tell parents, you don't have to read all the words. Like,
You might want to use a
something is
different
happening.
word.
Yeah, something's happening in your family. Skip that line.
Yeah.
And this is when people, this is all about divorce, right? But it can be upsetting for the whole family. You may worry when your parents stop loving each other. Okay, maybe not. Never mind. I never opened it, but basically it's like your parents will both still be in your life. That's not the case.
And we don't know, right? He doesn't know right now. That might be the case. It might not be the case. So.
Yeah, so Krista, that's why I just looked up real quick, because as you were discussing it, there's that whole concept from Pauline Boss about ambiguous loss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very profound, especially in this case. He doesn't know when I think with death, there's grief, there's, we have many, many decades of understanding it, refuting the ways that we understand it, but finding ways to communicate with children, things like that. But I think that this topic of ambiguous loss is incredibly profound because it's a different situation, right? It is just that there's a lot of ambiguity, and I think it can be very easy in that kind of thing when there's no real closure, right? And then that's where a lot of we turn inward, like self-blaming, right, or something like that. And this dad must be, I mean, he can tick off well, there was this going on and this going on, but he still doesn't know if she's coming back or when she's coming back, right? And anyway, so I did a very, very quick search on ambiguous loss in children and put in one link there. And so that just might be something you want to mine a little bit. Yeah, just because it's different than, I mean, it's a situation that is different than other types of situations,
Yeah. Thank you.
I was gonna recommend, if you're on Instagram, Carissa,
Yeah.
there's a handle, maybe you've heard of her before, My Story Book Library, and it's My MAI, and then Storybook Library. She posts, yeah, Ellen really like.
I think I've seen her. Okay.
I'm like very positive she has like My Child's Going Through Divorce like book book list. And also I had seen recently too, I'm not sure if mom is experiencing mental health, maybe a dual disorder thing happening.
Sounds like it.
Since youth. There was like My Parent Has Mental Health, books to talk about that with children.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of scrolling through to find the one that might represent what you're experiencing.
But I bet she would also, if you messaged her, I guarantee you that somebody would get back to you.
Yes, I have
Okay.
also messaged her before and have been, she's given me a list, or she has a blog and she'll refer you to a certain blog post.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you. That's super helpful. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, Krista, thank you for bringing that up. And as Nancy noted, it's really evident that you've made an important connection with this dad, that, as you said, even though he's quiet, he says a lot, like he's shared a lot with you. So you've clearly established a line of trust and safety with him, and a sense of that you're somebody who could be helpful to him and his family at this time. So bravo you.
Well, thank you. I hope so.
Yeah. I just think of somebody in that situation and how aimless, like they would, if they didn't have a touchstone for something like this.
I was telling my husband about it when I got home last night. He goes, "Thank you for not doing that." I was like, well, I mean, of course I wouldn't have, but like, yeah, at the same time, like, thank you for not doing that too, but.
That's a lot. Well, Ellen, okay, so Ellen, it's a big thing though. And like you said, the family will probably still be in the similar situation next week, but you could give us an update if
Well, and I can also ask on Friends of Family Ed, because I don't need solutions at this, like,
yeah,
this little guy needs to be referred, and it's just finding the words to encourage mom and dad. That's what it is. And getting them out of this thought that we're trying to change their kid. We're not. We're trying to change the system so their kid can be successful.
Yeah.
And I tried telling her today, like, imagine how he must feel in his body to be so upset he needs to choke someone. Like, no, that's not we want to help him feel good in his body. And so maybe that's just what I go with, right? So just looking for other words, other things I can say to her to help bump her over the edge
I missed
to
the
make it happen.
beginning. I'm sorry. I missed the beginning of it. You have a family in a class and
Mhm.
child is
Yeah, let me-
having behaviors and
Yep,
okay.
yep. And
Yeah,
has
and-
been for
and
been
so-
for a while.
For a while. And there's the desire to see if he could be screened or
Course.
evaluated.
He's been in eval. They've
And
pulled him out of eval.
oh, okay.
And mom is so literal. She reads everything. She reads every form. She looks at every line.
Okay.
She's like, wait, this stays on his school record. She just is so concerned that we're going to damage him. Not, I think she's ready. I think dad is like very much in the, I don't want them to crush his spirit so that he becomes, they don't want to crush his spirit so he fits in a classroom. That was what
So,
her verbiage
Ellen,
was to me today.
You mentioned that you thought that parents also maybe are on.
I definitely, yeah, I think they both are. They're both
maybe
engineers.
something-
They're super black and white,
Maybe,
you know.
and I know you're having wonderful conversations with them. I know you are. So you probably
Mhm.
already tried to ask and discern what happened to them, as kids. What, did they have an experience that they're worried is going to be
That's a
replicated?
good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'd never thought to ask that.
Oh, you would have though.
Or even simply, what was your experience in school? You know,
Yeah.
what was
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You don't start out with what
No.
happened to you.
Well, no, and no, of course, but also like he very much, when he was little, he would line up all the cars and watch the wheels. So, and they just think he's super smart. He's so smart. He's so smart.
and he is. He's
Yeah,
brilliant.
100%, but he doesn't, but he
brilliant.
can't get along with his peers.
Mhm.
And they think that is not a problem. So,
I'm sure you've also said this as well, but maybe whoever is a trusted person in your program for them to say, here's the purpose, here's why we're recommending this, that all those things that you said about it's so that we can adjust to him, adjust to help him be successful. But then, and then also saying, remember that this is all you get to decide. You're a part of the team. You have a voice. If you don't want to do what's being recommended, you have the power. I mean,
and that's what happened. And they stopped the eval.
yes,
But
yeah.
now, and we were like, okay, we'll wait till he's in preschool.
Why did they stop it? Is I guess the question that in my mind, I keep coming back to. Is it something that they
don't want to label.
Yeah. So
They don't want to label.
Was that something that ticked off experiences for them as kids, amongst their peers or
That's a great
adults
question.
in their world? Yeah. And now,
That's a great question.
yeah.
No, I love it, Nancy. Thank you. I honestly hadn't really thought about that. And probably because most of the time when you get a family who's like, nope, they wait a little bit, they start to see other kids, they're like, oh, you know what, we do. And this is the first family that we have had that just refuses. Because normally we get them over the hump, right? And my early childhood teacher and I, we do it together. And my early childhood teacher she's done having this conversation, and she just said today, she was like, it's time to open up the eval again because this is too hard for him. And then she brought it up in parent time. I did not know, we did not have time to talk, right, between parent time and child time. And I just said, I feel like that's too big a reaction, and he needs some help. He needs some help here in his body so that he can do well in school.
And do you have someone who could do home visits or who could meet them where they are and, build a relationship with them?
Well, and that's the thing that we had someone going, there was the relationship building, and then we're like, nope, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. So, I mean, we've been there. He qualified as a young two, almost 3, and now he's 4.5. We've been at this years. They just don't, I just think they think that he's normal. And so then today in class, I had to say, biting is a little normal, hitting is a little normal, but choking another child, I said that's too big a reaction for this age. Because I think I just need to be black and white. And I said that in class because I can't keep, bye guys. Anyway, yeah, it's time to go. Time to go.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate, Ellen, you're diving into it as long as we had time for.
Yep.
But let's revisit this next week,
Yep.
and I'll make a little mental note, and it'll give us something to consider, maybe share with our colleagues to, maybe get their input on. But
I can ask online too. I can ask
Yeah.
on the family ed.
Yeah,
Like
but
what
it's-
words do you use and see what comes up.
Yeah, and yeah, because it is tough because a set of words that works for one may not work for
Right.
another,
Yeah.
and it may
Yep.
not be words, it could be the influence of somebody else. It
Right.
could be time, it could be this pressure also from preschool, and you also know that no matter what you do, if the family bolts, so, but anyway, but yeah. Well, thank you all. This has been fabulous as always. Ari, welcome again to our community. And Greta, it's great to see you back. So have a fabulous week, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.